Hi, I'm ShadowWwitch, and welcome to my circle. Today we're going to be discussing freezer spells. Now I know a lot of people have heard of freezer spells and make the misassumption it's a matter of just filling a Dixie cup with water, writing somebody's name on a piece of paper and putting it in the Dixie cup and putting it in the freezer. That's kind of a modern easy version, but easy is not always best. I like to be traditional, and I like to go back to the original ways of doing spells because the original ways are usually the most powerful. And they're not necessarily always harder. It just takes a little bit more thought, and sometimes you have to acquire different objects. In this particular case, I am going to be using an apple. And yes, witches are often associated with apples and fairy tales and things like that, with good reason, but that'll be another video. Now, for those of you that are like, wait a minute, this sounds like a curse. It is not. Let me explain clearly and precisely. A curse is when maybe you don't like someone for some reason, and you decide to deliberately send harmful, malevolent energies directed at another person to mess with their lives. For no other reason, but you just want to mess with them. Maybe you think they did you wrong. You're looking for revenge. Something like that. You know what? The best thing to do is to just simply walk away. You know, if somebody stole your man or your woman or took your job or things like that, you know what? If it's done, it's done. Just walk away. Life goes on, you know, and maybe that's part of your path and something better is going to be around the corner. Going for revenge, trying to get back at somebody else. What we understand is what we send out comes back to us, and it will come back to us. What I'm talking about with the freezer spell and the spells that I work as far as defensive magic, it is protective magic. It is to protect you from those that are seeking to harm you. Maybe somebody at work is trying to spread malicious gossip. That's absolutely lies, rumors, innuendo, manipulation to try to have you lose your job. You need your paycheck to, feed your family, keep a roof over your head. Maybe somebody is, doing something, saying something, perhaps trying to physically harm you. In that particular instance, let me take a moment to say, if you think you are in physical harm, if somebody is really trying to harm you that way, please contact the authorities, seek out, actual, safe measures. Speak to somebody. Don't try to use magic to keep you safe. Do proper, steps to keep your family, keep yourself, keep your home safe. Magic can help stop gossip, slanderous words. This is what I'm talking about. This is a freezer spell that goes back a very long time. It comes from the world of hoodoo, and hoodoo is not a bad thing at all. It sounds like voodoo, and voodoo is also misunderstood. If you don't know what it is, but it sounds scary, like the Ouija board. Oh, it's so scary. If you don't know what it is, but it scares you, just understand you're probably being triggered by rumors, lies, horror movies, legend, lore. Look into it a little bit before you start, getting all crazy about it. Well, with this particular spell, what we're going to do, and it's really simple. So say you know that there's somebody that is trying to say things that is designed to harm you somehow. Usually, emotionally, or, in a work situation, maybe in a family situation. Maybe they're trying to badmouth you to family members or to cause trouble in those kinds of situations. We'll take an apple. Very careful. Use a sharp knife, and I would suggest you cutting it on a cutting board, but I'm doing this. I've already pre-cut it, so I will not injure myself, but I wanted to show you. I want you to cut a wedge out of it. Oh, let me give it a little bit more here. So again, on a cutting board, so you do not cut yourself or the table, or there we go. And you take the wedge out. There we go. So you've made a mouth. Little mouth. Now you might choose something other than an apple. I chose an apple for various reasons. It could be specific to the person. I'm thinking about, you might choose a lemon. Maybe it's a sourpuss, you know. Maybe it's somebody who was a real peach at one time, but you know, they kind of turned on you. So maybe you get a peach and let it shrivel a little bit. Maybe this person comes from a state where oranges are, you know, predominant. So choose an orange. Or maybe it's a vegetable, but something that you can cut a wedge out of that represents a mouth. You pick the fruit or vegetable. That's perfectly fine. So then choose either a business card from that person's business. If they don't particularly have a business card that identifies them with their name on it, then cut a piece of cardstock. You can write their name on it in black marker. You do not have to write it backwards. I believe it's looking backwards just simply because of the angle of the camera. I did not write it backwards. I've heard people say you need to write it backwards 9 times, and you know, the light of the full moon while you're howling like a wolf. No, that's silly. That is not necessary. But after you've written their name just once in black ink, and write their full name, not just, you know, Mary or something like that. You want to write their full name. Then, and if it's a business card, that's great. You don't even have to write their name. Okay, fold it up. And what I did is I folded it as I put it on the table, fold it away from you. Fold it away from you. And then again, fold it away, so away from you. Okay, so as it's laying on the table, fold it away from you. And then slip it in the mouth and stick the wedge back in. Shut that mouth right up. Get a nice long, whoops, put the sharp pointy things away. Nice long piece of red thread. It could be sewing thread. I have some nice satin cord here. Now with something like a lemon or a peach, it's easier to wrap around, but with something like this, it's a little bit more difficult because an apple is kind of smooth and round. So what I like to do using an apple is I will cut little notches in the top and maybe a notch or 2 in the bottom. Okay, so what I'm going to do is use that to anchor my cord, and I'm doing it so I am tying it around that mouth, if you will. There we go. And then once you've got it tied nice and tight, there we go. Put 3, 5, or 7 knots in it. I'm going to put 3, because 3 is a very nice, powerful number. Odd numbers, rather than even, because we are doing banishing. There we go, nice and tight. And now this is going to go. One more thing I'm going to do is I am going to place this in a plastic bag, and it is going to go in my freezer, because I don't want anyone, well, anyone in this place would be foolish to open up my refrigerator or freezer and just take anything out and eat it. I'm like, ooh, What does she have in here? Because it could be a potion or something. It's really important if you're going to do something like this. Put a label on anything you do like that. And, you know, magic spell, do not eat. You don't want to have an issue with that. And that's all you have to do. You will find that the individual will stop the gossip, will stop the talking, will stop the malicious behavior. Now, this is something that is very effective. But after you've stopped that kind of negative energy directed towards you, perhaps you do have to work with the person. Perhaps it's a boss, or perhaps it's somebody that you have to, you know, maybe it's an ex, somebody you've divorced, but you have to deal with, you know, children and interacting because you have kids. So maybe you want to sweeten up the situation. That's going to be my next video on how to deal with somebody with sweetening spells. So look forward to that. Thank you very much, and I hope you try this. It's a harmless way of protecting yourself. And if you want to try it, great. If for some reason it doesn't resonate with you, or you don't really feel comfortable with it, then don't do it. Witchcraft is a personal thing that nobody is forcing you to ever do. So thank you for visiting my circle. I'm ShadowWwitch, and blessed be.